I live in Michigan, but I'm currently homeless. Gino kicked me out of the house. The American dream.
Oh my God, stop it. That's getting me excited.
Stop bringing the mama beer subject.
What?
Andrei. Yeah, stop bringing that stuff. This is.
You're
listen,
talking about don't bring the mama beer. The mom is not good. The kids are affected by it.
To be honest, sometimes I feel like I already have 2 kids because of Joe's behavior.
I know my fashion sense, and when I go to Europe, you know me, very classy, very demure. Like, I've been to Europe more than you've been, so don't school me, please.
So it feels so good where I could just like hold you and you're not like bitching at me and telling me what a piece of I am.
Oh my God.
Well, I'm gonna go to bed, I think.
Me too.
Have a good night, yeah?
Same.
Y'all, we have a new season of Happily Ever After, and let me tell y'all, no one is happy, okay? We are witnessing the demise of many relationships and side-eyeing those that should have been over, but are appearing as picture perfect. Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We are here to discuss 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After. A reminder that this is a recap video, so I'm gonna be talking. Brand new season. I'm gonna cover everyone that was covered in episode 1. However, I can't promise that I'll always cover them because some of these, you could tell that some of them are network favorites that should have been long gone, but here we are. Nonetheless, there are a lot of exciting things to talk about. I can't wait to get into it with you. I have had a day, okay? My nails snapped while I was washing dishes. I had jury duty. It is hot as balls. I am emotional. I am in disarray underneath. So I've been looking forward discussing this mess with you because it'll just get my mind off of things. So if you're here to get your mind off of things as well, make sure to hit like, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new, we have a brand new long season ahead of us. You're gonna want to subscribe. So you guys, we're gonna start off with my favorite just because she's so chaotic. Darcey&Giorgi are back. Last time we saw them, they had broken up. And if y'all are new to Darcey, I don't know how you could be, but Darcey started out on 90 Day Fiancé, and then she got a spin-off with her sister Stacy. So it was Darcey and Stacy. And in the last season of Darcey and Stacy, or the second to last, she had officially broken up with Giorgi. Giorgi was always secretive. Giorgi was very conservative. Giorgi wasn't as expressive. Darcey, I love her. She needs help. So they were constantly at odds. And in the final season, he was really trying to like make his way into her life again. And I think they had like a one-night stand. And she was like, but that was it. Only one time. Well, next thing you know, their show gets canceled and they're married. And I'm devastated that we didn't get to witness the mess that I'm sure it was. But here they are. They've been married for a year. I am shocked. When we see them in this episode, they're at a haunted house, which would be the last place that I would take Darcey Silva, okay? She's so dramatic. And the shot of her being like, I'm gonna enter it. That, I had to rewind that like a few times because she's just so ridiculous. But again, I love her. They're at an amusement park. She's going to turn 50 tomorrow. So they're just, you know, trying to get in that time on their own. It's really sweet. I think that this is the most that I've seen Giorgi smile. This is the most affectionate that I've seen him. And I think that that's a huge upgrade because for the most part, I felt like Darcey was always just like smothering him. And maybe it took him some time to get comfortable doing that on camera. But for once, it feels like he does like her too. It's hard to tell if a lot is really happening behind the scenes because there's a moment where he's eating like, I think a turkey leg. And Darcey is just like, you look so hot eating that turkey leg. Eat me like that next. And she's like salivating watching him eat this. And then she starts like eating it with him. And she's like, yeah, I'm 50, but I'm, you know, vibrant and young and ready to go. And I'm like, okay, girl. Again, they really started us on a high, okay? They're feeling good. Giorgi's being super romantic. He planned this like outdoor dinner for them. He wants to make sure that she gets that solo time, that time to feel special before the next day, where of course she's gonna have a twin celebration. So I thought that was really thoughtful of him, and I'm like, okay, wow, like they're really improving in their communication and the ways that they demonstrate love to each other. Love that. And they get to talking, and we learn that they're going to Bulgaria. That is where he's from. They're gonna meet his family. And immediately I was like, wow, this is growth. Because Giorgi is notoriously private. He wouldn't even let her go to his place. She found out about his ex-wife like through the grapevine. He barely said a word. And granted, they're married, like you would hope that he wouldn't be as private anymore. But you never know. So I was really happy to hear that. But it's like, yeah, you know, we got to practice Bulgarian phrases, and, you know, you can't wear that to meet my family. And I understand what he's saying. Don't be flashy. Don't show too much cleavage. But Giorgi, sir, you need to use your words better. Like, he speaks like a caveman. You can't wear that. And of course, Darcey, who is the most sensitive person in the world, is like, what do you mean? And immediately, Darcey gets into defense mode. And I don't know if she interpreted him checking her outfits as him like insulting her intelligence, but she's like, I know how to dress in Europe. I'm demure in Europe. If anything, I've been to Europe more than you, so like really, like, you can't school me. What does that have to do with anything, Darcey? Like, one of y'all needs to get better at de-escalating, and they suck. So much for the happy facade, you know? He's like, all I'm saying is that my family is conservative, and you can't show up like Miami, Darcey. That's all. I'm not judging your style. And she's like, this conversation shouldn't lead to a fight. And it's scary that a year in, they can switch so quickly. And I think what's interesting is that when we hear him speak in his confessional, he's like, I haven't seen my family in 13 years. You can sense that he's nervous. You can sense that he feels like he's going to be judged, just in general. And then she's a reflection of him. This is the first time that they're going to meet a partner, which is shocking because he was previously married, but they never got to meet her. So there's a lot of firsts, and a partner that wasn't so in their head would be empathetic to that and would be like, can you say what you actually trying to say? But of course, Darcey can't help but make this about herself. And this is like the downside of her chaos. That's like, Darcey, look at the big picture. He's taking you there. He wants to show you off. He needs you to be respectful. And the sneak peek that we've seen, it looks like she's going to make it about herself and start crying at the dinner. And I'm just like, Darcey girl. But I love her. So I look forward to seeing her segment. Let's move on. We're gonna just do it. We're going to talk about Jasmine and Gino. It's not like we didn't just talk about them at the last season of Happily Ever After, in the last season of The Last Resort. Yet here they are. Because she was pregnant and it was already at the last reunion of The Last Resort, and obviously she's had the baby, they show us the footage of everyone's reaction when she walked out pregnant. And then it was like 7 months earlier. So we get to see just all the events that led to that reveal. We see Jasmine and Gino at the airport, and they're doing this fake out where you're supposed to think that they're both at the airport at the same time, maybe for each other. No. She's there waiting for Matt. I guess he went away somewhere and she was welcoming him back. And Gino has flown to Vegas to see a new chick. Yup. Gino said, you know what? It's time that I enjoy this open marriage as well. They pan back to Jasmine, and she's still here playing in our faces, pretending that Matt is just a friend. And her update is that she's homeless. Except you're not homeless because you're living with your boyfriend. And Jasmine insists she wanted the open marriage to bring them to a better place. And I just feel like you can't go from broken to a better place with an open marriage. Like, that was never gonna fix it. But also, I think what she's still not admitting is that it was never about an open marriage. It was always about being with Matt specifically, and that in itself is the issue. And so we see Gino with this new girl, Natalie, and, you know, they're sizing each other up. They're giving each other affirmations. She looks like she could be related to Jasmine, in my opinion. But he looks excited, and I'm just like, Gino, I have been a Gino defender in that people have said that he is a cornaholic, and he has said, no, I'm not. I just don't want to be with Jasmine because she is volatile. So this is the opportunity for him to prove me right and y'all wrong. I am very curious to see if he's going to lay it on Natalie. This is the real test. Because Natalie is shiny, brand new, things are exciting. He seems to be attracted to her. She's attracted to nerds and is all over him. So I'm like, okay. They connected 3 months ago. So there has been a lot of buildup through texts. Okay? But then they do like a flashback of the conversation that Gino and Matt had, where Gino specifically laid out the terms. Y'all need to use protection. I don't want y'all to be too close. There need to be clear boundaries. And I thought that was so important to drop in because Jasmine broke all of the promises. And that is what Gino says. After they got back from the resort, they tried it. She broke all of the promises. And he was like, you know what? I'm kicking you out. And I still don't know how I feel about him doing that. Like, I just because she is in a vulnerable position coming here from a different country, you are legally responsible for her. But I would like to think that Gino wouldn't kick her out if he didn't know that she had a guaranteed place to stay. And clearly she did. She has made herself at home at Matt's. More on that in a second. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. They both did each other so deeply wrong that it's really hard. They both share blame, is what I'm trying to say. And he tells us that he wants intimacy so badly. He just couldn't get there with Jasmine because of her attitude. And so he's on this trip seeing this new person while in this open relationship, and Jasmine has zero idea that he has moved on. We get to see Jasmine at Matt's place. If we are taking her at her word that she and Matt are not together, I would have a problem if I were Matt with the way that she's talking to me in my own house. First of all, they get there. It is a mess. She has her things all over. And he's like, oh, we should clean up. And she's like, no, everything is how I like it. Who gives a rat's behind what you like when it's not your place? If I were staying at someone's house, I would have all of my things in one corner because I would hate to be a nuisance. I would hate to disturb their natural everyday rhythm. She's been there for months. Can you imagine living in that condition for months just because she wants to see every single shoe she owns? And that's how I know that she's lying. There's just no way. That is your man, and that is why he's tolerating your bossiness. That's why he's tolerating your mess. But she's trying to be like, oh no, we're like roommates that bang occasionally. And she keeps lying like, I don't want to unpack further because this is temporary. Girl, you've been there for 4 months. That's how long ago Gino kicked you out and you've been staying there. It's safe to say it ain't temporary. Just to put it into like perspective, I'm not here to pocket watch, but we are reviewing the show. And I assume that she makes good money on Cameo. She makes good money on OF. She makes good money with her businesses. She does ambassador work for Fashion Nova. You're telling me that you can't afford to rent a room elsewhere? That you can't afford to have a little studio? Because I'm assuming she has her papers by now too, right? If she doesn't, then I'm speaking out of bounds. But if she does, you're staying with Matt because you want to be with him. And I don't think anybody would have a problem with her wanting to move on if she just owned it. But every step of this relationship, she has been lying to everyone. And then we get her side of the story because she says that Gino just kicked her out for no reason. Remember, Gino's rules were you get to bang 2 hours, and then you guys can't really be like spending time or growing closer. Well, one of those days that they banged, they went to the gym. So she was with Matt for like 7 hours. And that pushed Gino over the edge. And it would push me too. Because I have a strong feeling that she was playing with that line often. And that day, he just couldn't handle it anymore. So she sat there and she's like, oh my God, like Gino, the last time I was there, he changed the locks on me. And she, you know, was looking mopey and sad. And I guess she wants like an empathetic reaction from Matt. And this 37-year-old doofus is like, oh, where is he playing bingo? Oh, he's so bitter, blah, blah, blah. You would be bitter too. You've been using your life savings to maintain your relationship financially for years. Then you bring her here, you marry her, and she leaves you the minute she meets someone younger and stronger at the gym. I would be so bitter. And it's just so disgusting to me how Matt refuses to take accountability. The way him and Jasmine were just wiping their hands off at the reunion, I have zero respect for him. So she's crying in front of him like, oh, I love him. Like, you don't know what it's like to be in love. I gave him 5 years. I'm just so confused. And she's crying. And this guy could not care. And I go back and forth as to why that is. I'm like, is he like that because she's performing and he doesn't care to perform too? Or is he just like, oh, she's crying again. Like, I bit off more than I can chew. You know, like, I just don't know how to read that. I just know that I don't like him. But it's so interesting when she's like, the open marriage ruined everything. And I'm like, girl, y'all were so broken already. And you basically put the nail in the coffin, girlie. But I want to end their segment with Gino's date because the way that this is going to explode in his face at the end of the season. Because Jasmine's claims, okay, she claims that this open marriage is for the both of them. That is because I don't think she could ever fathom that Gino would give himself to someone else. So I just know that when she does find out, she's going to find a reason to tear it down, to hate it. But we're supposed to leave her and Matt in peace. But Gino and Natalie are at this like weird igloo bar situation. I don't know who would pay to be cold, but here they are, and they start getting drinks, okay? There's like a naked body sculpture. They start taking shots off of the body, and they're giggling, and this is the most I've seen Gino smile, aside from when he's with Florian. And the more they drink, the friskier he's getting, the touchier they're getting. There's a point that they're like making out. He's like, oh, you make me feel hot and sweaty inside, and I'm like, Gino. But also, I'm like, yeah, prove them people wrong, Gino. Get it in. However, I think that Gino may get in his way and fast. Because every time something funny happened, anytime he felt good, he was like, wow, I feel so good right now. It feels so good to not be yelled at, to not be called a piece of shit. Wow, this is amazing. You could have this good of a time. And she's like,
I haven't felt this good in a long time. It feels like I'm always arguing and fighting. So it feels so good where I could just like hold you and you're not like bitching at me and telling me what a piece of shit I am.
oh my God. Because, sir, no one wants to be compared to the ex at every turn. Also, this is day one of you being with Natalie in person. You can't put her on a pedestal. She hasn't shown you her humanity. Like, it's just not fair to her. And it's also going to get old fast. And Gino let her know that he kicked Jasmine out. But I think he's led her to believe that they're no longer together at all. Except they are still together and are in an open relationship. So inevitably that conversation is going to be really awkward. And that's it for them this episode. Let's move on to Kara and Guillermo. I did not expect to see these two on this show. Spoiler alert, except it's the rumor mill, so I'm not sure if it's true. But word on the street is that these two are no longer together. And I am not surprised. If you saw them when they were first introduced, I think there's an age difference here as well. And also just like the way that they look at life, which sucks because they were together for a long time before he came to America. But you really started to see them clash. I felt like she had her shit together more and he did not. And he had more of like a childlike energy and she's about her business. And both are great. But when you try to force them together in a marriage, you're going to have some issues. And I always felt like she resented him because she had to carry most of the weight. And again, like, I think that I would resent him too. But when they got married, I was like, okay, well, I hope that they figure it out. Then like 7 months later, they got pregnant. And I'm like, I wouldn't have recommended getting pregnant so fast. But they have a beautiful baby boy. I'm like, okay. So I thought that they were happy. Then we see them on the show and you could feel the tension. You can feel the underlying resentment, really. That's really what it comes down to. So I think the last time we saw them in Diaries, he wanted to quit his job to become a pilot. She's like, you have a job with benefits. We need the money. Pilot school costs a lot of money that we don't have. And he was like, well, I quit. He went and did that without communicating with her. So when we see them in this episode, I think he took like a pilot class and he's like on a high. She's trying not to rain on his parade. You can tell that she's really practicing restraint. But he's like, yeah, I really want to do this. And she's like, you know what? It takes a lot of grit. It takes a lot of determination, a work ethic to be able to balance work full-time and to balance pilot school, and you haven't really demonstrated that you are about it. And we learn that he's one of those guys that is like, yeah, I want to start this business, and just leaves it in the ether and doesn't do anything about it. And she's the type of woman, if you're like, I want to start a lawn business, she set him up to get the license. She made his business cards. She got him the van, and he did nothing with it.
Did you ever once follow up with anyone, try to make it happen? No. So the difference between you starting your endeavors and me starting mine is that I actually try.
So she's frustrated because she is balancing multiple careers on her own as well. The last time we checked, she was in real estate. She had like a decorating business. She also performed. She's making sure that bills are paid. And right now, after he quit his very good job with benefits, he's at a restaurant. So she's the main breadwinner for their family. And let me tell you, some of us are modern and don't mind being the quote-unquote head honcho of the house. Then there's some of us that need it to be 50-50. And then there's some of us that need our men to do more. To either be the head of the household or to do 50-50 for real. Because I feel like sometimes people think, oh, 50-50 is just bills. But no, 50-50 goes into the chore division, the mental labor, because we're always thinking about 5 steps ahead. Like a true division of responsibilities. And I don't know necessarily where Kara lies within that. What she does say, though, is that she doesn't feel supported. And she doesn't feel like he's carrying the weight evenly or even trying to. So in this car, she's coming in hot. And I know that a lot of people would have an issue with the way that she's talking to him. I know that I would have an issue if someone talked to me like that. But I'm trying to think about it from her perspective. She's been dealing with this for years. She's probably tired of like going in gently and being like, what do you need? How can I support you? This and that. She's like, we have bills to pay. We have a child to support. Unless you're going to come up with a plan and execute it, I don't want to hear about no pilot school. And I could feel that anger. And so in their confessional, they're like, yeah, you know, we've been fighting a lot. Things have been tense. And again, these are two people that no one de-escalates. He's like, when she catches the tone with me, I'm like, well, okay, I guess we're going to fight. So it's awful. But they don't fight in front of the baby. They're basically performing for their baby. But when the baby's asleep, they're like roommates. They're sleeping separately. And it is so awkward the way that they're like, all right, I'm going to bed. Good night. And it apparently happened after they got into the big fight and he didn't talk to her for like 3 days. And they just stayed with that setup. And they both are yearning for closeness, but they're not jiving. They're not seeing the good in each other. And it sucks because I feel like a lot of it could be on communication. I don't think that they know how to talk to each other. It always comes down to it. And I'm not perfect, y'all. Like, I'm not a psychologist. I have my flaws in relationships. But I think that I have really good self-awareness. And I am not above apologizing to someone that I love. And I'm not above letting someone know that we're teammates. I would like to think that if I had a child, that would be on steroids. I'd be like, oh, no. We have to see eye to eye. We have to make this work. So it makes me sad to see them like that. And she says that they did go to one therapy session and it was just too heartbreaking. And she like breaks down in the confessional. But I'm like, Kara, girl, if you want this to work, it's going to get ugly and it's going to get more painful in therapy before it gets better. You got to fight through the pain. But then again, maybe not. Like, maybe you don't want to fight. And that's okay too. To hang it up and be like, actually, what's best for our kid is for us to be apart. And I think that that's the crossroads where they're at. But y'all, the final section is a big one-ish because it's 3 couples. So 90 Day Fiancé has these like golden couples. I always say that they're living in glass houses because they all have this facade of being in these perfect marriages, but these marriages have so many cracks if you look up closely. So that's Andrei and Elizabeth, that's Jovi and Yara, and of course, Loren&Alexi. So a quick snapshot of where they're at before we see them in their group hangout. Andrei and Elizabeth. You guys recall, Andrei literally has been a hurricane in Elizabeth's life. She literally has no one left, okay? He has beefed with her brother, her sisters, her mother. At this point, they only talk to her dad and like one of her sisters. It's real bad. So of course, this is Andrei being like, oh, we don't have family here. We have no support, you know, after he isolated her. And he's like, so this is the perfect time for us to go to my family in Moldova. So he wants to move her, their 2 kids, to Moldova. And last time I checked, Libby was the breadwinner in their family. So I'm like, wait, you want her to go to Moldova because it's cheaper, but what job are you going to be doing? Because didn't you run away from there because you were a cop and then you got in trouble so you couldn't be a cop anymore? Like, what are you going to do over there? What are you going to do to provide? And Libby clearly does not want to go, but she's feeling guilted. And she's like, oh, you know, we'll go for a month and scope it out and see schools and things like that. And then I'll decide. And he's very set that they're going to move. So that's where we're at with them. Yara and Jovi. They have moved from Louisiana to Miami, which I think is perfect for Yara. Jovi goes away for months at a time for work. She's often by herself with their daughter Mila. They might as well be at a place that she enjoys. We saw them the last season of The Last Resort. I think the issues are going to be the same thing. Jovi is addicted to strip clubs. He desperately wants Yara to have a second baby. However, she feels like he's her second baby. She's practically a single mom. Why would you throw another baby in the mix right now? So she's on the fence. Then there's Loren&Alexi. So these two, I think at this point they've been married for over a decade. They've moved out of the condo and into a house, which is perfect for the little kiddos. And Loren, she's another one. I really liked them when I first saw them, but I could see the cracks then. And I think the more that we see them, the more I'm like, because Alexi is just like Andrei, but in a different font. And in a lot of ways, I feel like there's a lot of overlap in the personalities of these 3 couples. So it was no surprise that they wanted to combine them for this season to make it more interesting, because by themselves, it's a bit of a snooze fest, but together, It's chaotic. And the perfect setting is Loren and Alexi's housewarming party, okay? So they trickle in one by one. And then aside from the cast, I think there's like a bunch of kids around. Loren's bestie, Olga, I think her name is. And then their other friend that we don't really see. We learned that Loren and Libby have been friends for years, which makes sense because they've been on the show for years. But Loren is not a fan of Andrei and the way that he talks. Which again, I'm like, girl, your husband speaks to you the same way privately. I think that Andrei just is ugly on the outside. But we saw how that man spoke to you in the last season of Happily Ever After. And one thing about Loren is that she can't keep her thoughts to herself. Every thought that she has is important. So I already knew that things were gonna hit the fan. And so the girlies are sipping some champagne, and immediately Loren drops, yeah, Libby's moving to Moldova. And Yara's like, Moldova? Why would you do that? And Libby's like, oh, you know, I'm gonna feel it out. I just feel like I owe it to Andrei because, you know, he came here for me. And Yara and Loren are like, he's an adult. He made a choice to come. Like, you shouldn't feel guilty because of that. Like, he knew what was up when he did it. And then we see the guys talking. And this dynamic is so funny because, again, I feel like Jovi is an ass, but I think that he can't compare it to Andrei. Like, I feel like Jovi knows when to shut up. Andrei just goes on. And they did clash the last time that they were on, I think, was the Last Resort tell-all or something that they brought in Andrei. Yeah, it was a mess. So it's very interesting to see them, you know, try to be around each other. And there's a moment that Alexi's like, yeah, Loren's mom got us the grill and now they don't talk. I'm not surprised. Loren's mom is literally the worst. We all have things that our parents did to us that we're like a little effed up over. And I think that we saw why Loren is the way she is. So I'm kind of proud of her that she's keeping her distance for a little bit, you know? And this leads Andrei to be like, oh my God, is her mom a narcissist? Because Libby's mom is, and we don't talk to her either. We don't talk to none of the family, which is why I'm making her go to Moldova. And the guys are like, you're making your family do what? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna make them. And they're like, well, you shouldn't make them. Like, you should want them to be open to it and you look out for their best interest. And he's like, no, I'm gonna make them or we go our separate ways. So anyway, they're done grilling, the girlies come out, and Andrei is like, so what were you guys talking about? And Loren's like, oh, you know, Libby mentioned Moldova. And we're like, yeah, you really shouldn't go. And he's like, why not? And they're like, you know, you came here. It's a big change. And he's like, yeah, but why not? We could start over there. Yara adds in that Libby is a spoiled American and there are certain things that you're just used to. And it's going to be hard to move to a different place and adjust. And he's like, oh, you're saying that she can't adjust? And they're like, no, it's not that she can't. It's that it's a lot to adjust when you also have to think about your kids. And at one point, Loren's friend Olga tries to talk and he starts talking over her and it gets heated, but then she like shuts up and everyone's trying to defend her. And I think it's useless because this is what happens with her family as well. Libby acts like she hates that he's this controlling macho man. But when people come into her defense, she ends up cutting everyone off because everyone is wrong. And the way that she carries herself is like it's us against the world. But then don't complain. And it's so obvious to everyone that she doesn't want to move, but she won't outright say it. Are you afraid of his reaction? Because he can't move without you. You truly hold the power here. He just likes to hold the power as a mouthpiece. That's all he has. And so Alexi steps in and he's like, well, you know, you did say that you were going to give her an ultimatum. And Andrei's like, no, I was going to. And he was like, no, you said exactly that you were going to give her an ultimatum. And he starts to backpedal like a mofo.
You told us that you're going to make her move no matter what. You're going to give her an ultimatum.
I didn't say an ultimatum, but I said
literally used that word.
Okay, I used ultimatum, but I would say like.
And Libby's like, an ultimatum? I'd like to hear it. And it just starts getting too heated, so she wants to just end the conversation. She's like, you know what? We can talk about this at home. We are here to have a pleasant time at Loren and Alexi's housewarming, and she keeps giving him the eyes. Loren and Andrei are far from done. Because then at one point, Loren is like, you know, as a mom and as a woman, like it's gonna be a hard transition because this, because that. She's giving valid reasons. Andrei goes, don't start with that mama bear crap. Because you know he hates women. So, of course, that's what he's gonna lead with. And this sets Loren off. Because you know, she don't play. She don't play about moms. And she's like, don't you dare. And she goes at him and he's like, I don't know why you're doing all this. Like, we know that Alexi's the one that mainly provides. And Loren's like, whoa, like, I'm a working mom too, as is your wife. Like, you don't know my finances. And he's literally in her face like, you don't bring money, you don't bring money. And Alexi's like, she provides plenty. Like, she makes her own money. But Andrei wouldn't know what that's like because I'm pretty sure Libby handles that. And the only money he has in his pocket is the one that he finesses from his father-in-law. So he's big mad. And Loren is letting him have it. Should they have had this conversation night one of all of them getting together? Probably not. But otherwise, they would have probably been boring. So I'll take it. Ultimately, though, Loren's like, the mama bear thing is important because you should want your wife to be happy because if she's happy, your kids are going to be happy. It's all connected. And this whole time, Loren's friend, I don't know how long this conversation was, but you could tell that she was like stewing and she just starts going at him as well. And he's like, Loren, is she talking for you? And like just talks down at her, like ignores her. And she starts going in on him. She walks out and she's like, you shouldn't have the visa. He calls her a B word. It's nasty. To the point that Loren and Elizabeth are like, what just happened? It went from 0 to 100 with the quickness. I don't know how much of this trio I'm going to cover as we go throughout the season. But if entertaining things happen, best believe I got you. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments, you guys. Thank you so much for watching this recap. And I will see you in the next one, which is Hunt for Love. Bye.